Alright, in number 5 we have f of x is equal to 2x minus 3 all squared. Now we did explain to you earlier that we cannot work with products like this. You'll have to expand it. So you expand this or open it out or remove the brackets. So 2x all squared will give you 4x squared. That will give you minus 6x, double it, minus 12x, minus 3 squared will give you plus 9. So this question f of x becomes 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. Now you can find the answer, f prime x. So you see we're using the basics now, the basics that we spoke about earlier on. F prime x is equal to 2 times 4, 8, write down x, 2 minus 1 will give you 1. 1 times minus 2, 12 will give you minus 12. X to the 0 we can ignore, plus the 0 we can ignore. Number 6. F of x is equal to x squared plus 5x plus 6 divided by x plus 2. So this will become x squared plus, no, we've got to factorize this. So we've got to factorize it, so it will become x plus 2 into x plus 3, and it's divided by x plus 2. So this bracket will divide with that bracket, you're left with x plus 3. So your question simplifies to x plus 3. Now you got to just find the derivative of that. F prime x is equal to 1 times this 1, which is 1, and that will become x to the 0, which I can ignore, and that is 0, which I can ignore. Therefore, the final answer is f prime x is equal to 1. Let's see if we can do number 7. No, I'd like to do number 7 in detail, so I'll need more space. So let me move on to the right hand side. But before I move on to the right hand side, just give you a few seconds to have a look at these answers. And then I'll move on to do number 7. Right, let's go to number 7. Now in number 7 we have f of x is equal to root x minus 3 over x. So this question, again from the basics, remember in the basics we told you that what is understood here is 2. So really there's a 2 here, and what is understood here is 1. And then when this goes underneath there, it becomes x to the half. So you've got to know those basics that we taught you about earlier. Now this one, that's minus 3, and really there's a 1 understood here, so that's minus 3 over 1, and minus 3 over 1 is really minus 3. This is x to the 1. When it's going to come on top, it's going to become x to the minus 1. So you must know these basics. We are now ready to find the derivative. F prime x is equal to half times this 1 here, which is understood, is half. Write down this base. Now half minus 1, put it in your calculator, and you'll end up with negative half. Half minus 1, put it in the calculator, you'll end up with negative half. Now here, minus 1 times minus 3 will give you plus 3. Put it in your calculator, minus 1 times minus 3 will give you plus 3. Write down the base. Now minus 1, minus 1. Every time you have to subtract 1. So minus 1, put it in your calculator, you will end up with negative 2. So you see the answer for number 7 is really half x to the index negative half plus 3x to the minus 2. Alright, let's try number 8. Number 8, f of x is equal to half x to the negative 1 minus 3 root x. Well, this is half x negative 1 minus 3. This 3 is on its own, so it just stays here, right? But this becomes, from what we have shown you before, that's 2, that's 1, so it will become x to the 1 over 2. Now we are ready to find the derivative. Negative 1 times half will give you negative half. Write down x. Negative 1 subtract 1 will give you negative 2. Now we go here. Half times negative 3 will give you negative 3 over 2. Just put it in your calculator. Then you write down x. Half minus 1, put it in your calculator. You'll end up with minus half. So that was number 8. We will stop here and then I will do number 9 and 10 in the next session.